When designing an app icon, it is important to follow a few guidelines. Your app icon should be very simple and recognizable. This might be a challenge for some because with the millions of apps that are available, how are you going to stand out? Well, if you follow our tips and guidelines while designing your icon, it's not going to be a problem. First of all, it's important to understand that your app icon is not the logo of your company, but much rather a much simpler variation of it. If you have a company, that is. It doesn't have to be the same thing. With logos, we have a lot more possibilities. They don't have to be square. They are simply not as restricted as our app icons. Our icon doesn't necessarily need to look amazing on a giant billboard. It's supposed to serve a purpose, and that is to be simple and still catch the eye of the user in an instant. Whereas a logo can be a lot more complex. It can have details that maybe only are recognized after seeing it for a few times. So let's go over the aspects that make a great app icon. We want to keep it as simple as possible, since the icon is going to be very small and details might not be as recognizable as they would be in a logo. So don't waste your time trying to design an app icon that looks amazing when it's 1,000 pixels wide, but it loses all of its vibrancy and charm when it's scaled down. That's why it's crucial that during our design process, we always make sure that we scale the app icon down to ensure that we're not deceived by the size. What I suggest is that you always, once you're relatively satisfied with one logo, save it as an actual app icon, so in the size of it, which is usually anywhere between 20 by 20 and 120 by 120 pixels. And then take a look at it on your phone to make sure that you actually see how it looks on a device. Because the screen of your PC or Mac is a lot different from the screen of your phone. So to make sure that the scalability of your icon is guaranteed, you have to use a vector image while designing it, whereas you have to save and export them as PNGs. Pick one thing that will work as the focus point of your app icon, meaning it will be the one thing that guides the user's eye and gives the entire icon its basis and stability. Now, what this means is that we usually have one part of our icon, that is a symbol, a letter, or something similar that is the center of our layout, instead of having multiple small elements that don't allow the user to focus on what's important and are quite frankly distracting. Do not use words in your app icon unless they are a crucial part of your already established brand's logo. When creating an app icon, we want to avoid text as much as possible, for the simple reason that it will be very hard to read. There are only very few apps that actually have text on their icon. Burger King and Amazon being two examples. The usual approach is that you take the first letter of your brand's name and try to incorporate it into an app-specific logo, which you can then use as your icon. This is the case for Facebook or the App Store icon, for example. Nobody should look at your icon and be confused by what they are looking at. For an icon, to be self-explanatory has a lot of upsides. I'll give you an example. Imagine you have an app that takes photos. It would make sense for your icon to get this purpose across by having some sort of camera being the most dominant part of your icon. This would allow anybody that opens your phone and looks for a camera app to easily find it, because it's what they are looking for when you are looking for the mail app. You are not looking for something that has a camera icon on it and vice versa. So, use metaphors. I think this principle is probably the one that all of us are the most familiar with. We know that the trash can on a Mac or on our PC is where we put deleted elements, just like we would in real life. Or that the camera app on the iPhone uses an icon with an actual camera on it. The same goes for the envelope on the mail icon, and so many more icons. There are also some interface elements, such as sliders for volume perhaps, or switches and picker values, that are nothing else but metaphors, designed in a way that allows the user to immediately understand the functionality behind those design elements. First of all, you want to have as much of your primary color in your app icon as possible. If you're an established brand or company, it would of course make sense to use the logo and color scheme of your company, simply because this specific color would already be associated with your company or service. For example, whether we are looking for the Facebook app or the Messenger app, we know what shade of blue we are looking for.